Are you ready? Stand by.
Hey everybody, I'm Dave Hartman, and welcome to another exciting episode of The Three Gun Show, the world's largest three-gun podcast. This is episode 238 with special field correspondent Brian Vaught, who does a match recon of the 2018 version of a match that's going down in just a few days after the launch of this episode, the Rock Hard 3-Gun. This is a replay for Patreon subscribers, and if you like this type of content, you can hear all match recon podcasts real time by supporting the show at patreon.com/3gunshow. That's Patreon. And speaking of Patreon, I just made a post the other day about another benefit for Patreon subscribers, and this is a special offer from IWI. They are recreating a limited number of Galil Ace rifles built up just like I built mine up for Red October, and they're only available to Patreon subscribers. So if you're a current patron and you haven't seen that post yet, make sure you go check it out. In the meantime, I'm heading to Vortex Optics to do some podcasting and to teach a 3-gun class. So while I do that, you get to enjoy this Match Recon episode with Brian Vaught. Brian, welcome back to the podcast.
Hey, Dave. Thanks for having me back, man.
Man, I'm pumped to have you back, Vaught. You know, I looked at Skype before we got on here, and it looks like December 2015 is the last time that you used some technology that wasn't like a Citizens Band radio.
Yes, I'm not a regular Skyper. I don't do that. And of course, we had a delay for some reason or another. I think it was your computer.
Yeah.
It was, hey, not mine. Mine was working.
Yeah.
Because it's my son's.
Yeah, you know what's crazy is like I use this computer all day, every day for the podcast. I record tons of podcasts with it using Skype and stuff like that. And then the one time when I'm like, oh, you know what? I'll just cut it close and get to the office like 15 minutes before the podcast. Then, of course, needs a restart, has an update. There's a delay.
Well, you need a 16-year-old to run your computer IT stuff because, I mean, my son will have his phone plugged in. He'll be messaging with somebody. He'll be online. He'll have the TV on, and he'll be listening to music all at the same time.
No kidding.
And I don't think he was hugged enough or something. He's sensory deprived or something. I'm not sure what it is, but
it's probably what it is. He can't feel.
That's what it is. Yeah.
I love it. Well, man, welcome back to the show here over Skype. You've been on a couple times since then, though, in person, and it's much easier in person than it is over the Skype. A lot less barriers to entry.
Yeah, I agree. And I think I don't remember when the last time we did it in person was, but usually we've had something to drink.
Yeah.
So things kind of roll out. Maybe a little less organized. I'm not sure.
Well, Brian,
we talked about doing a drunk history version of that.
Yeah, we ought to do that. So you're a Kentucky guy, so I'm imagining bourbon, or what have you been drinking lately?
I've been drinking tequila lately, but I do drink bourbon, I have to say, and I do drink Kentucky bourbon. I don't drink any Tennessee whiskey or anything like that. And I live right in the middle of Kentucky, so like on a fall day, you can smell the mash from my back porch.
No kidding.
Oh yeah, they make. 15 miles from here, they're making bourbon in 1,000,000-gallon mash barrels. So if the wind's right and it's a cool evening, you can smell it. It's pretty cool.
Catch a buzz?
No, that unfortunately you cannot catch a buzz from it. But I grew up here drinking like White Label Jim Beam and Wild Turkey.
Wow.
And people, what's your favorite bourbon? Because everybody has these. They think bourbon's like champagne or something like that. But I like Wild Turkey 101. It's my favorite.
Oh man,
it's like $25 a fifth, but I still like it.
My uncles drank Wild Turkey growing up, like my dad's brothers and brothers-in-law. And man, they used to play like endless poker games around like Christmas and Thanksgiving. And turns out like all these years later, they were passing around a bottle of Wild Turkey around under the table, and that's why they spent so much time playing cards. But as I got older, I'm like, well, this is what the Hartman boys drank, so I'm gonna go get myself a bottle of Wild Turkey 101. And man, you only do that a couple times when you're in college and you don't know your limits.
Well, it's cost effective though, because you're getting 20% more alcohol, and so you can share it and that kind of stuff, and it's not expensive. And really, I'm not a bourbon snob about, folks talk about different types of stuff, and I have drank some really good bourbon. And there is stuff. If you go to the Rock for Pro-Am and walk around the parking lot, there'll be guys handing around $75 bottles of bourbon, just handing them like they're, passing around a jar of moonshine or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
But, that's kind of a trendy thing. But I still like just regular. It doesn't matter. After the second or third drink, what difference does it make?
Yeah, exactly.
I can't feel my face anyway.
That's why you always got to start off with the good bourbon and then just move into the crap after that.
There you go.
Oh, well, hey, so speaking of the Rock, a Rock Castle Shooting Center, you shot a match recently, and that's what we're here to talk about. So what'd you shoot, Brian?
Well, the latest, greatest match down at Rock Castle, and they have got a bunch of stuff going on this year.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going back there I'm going there Sunday to run a 10K 2-gun match. That's kind of become a flavor around here.
Yeah.
But the last big match there was the Rock Hard 3-gun match that Bruce Davidson puts on to benefit Mission 22.
Uh-huh.
And it was the 3rd and 4th of this month. March of Rock Castle Shooting Center. Just to give you kind of the stats on it, it was a points-based match. So it was 6 stages, percentage-based points. Rule set was kind of hybrid, made up for this match. I mean, I would say it was kind of pro-am rules with some specific rules for different stages, and I can go into more of that later. But Bruce adds some high value targets and some things so that you don't move with you don't reholster a hot gun.
Mm-hmm.
He puts that kind of into the stage and makes the rules around that. So,
and we'll get into this in a minute here when we start talking about the match itself, but it's a very unique match. And it's unique from the onset too. Like I actually read through the rules, and Bruce adds some humor and some flavor into those rules that actually keep you engaged in reading them. And it's not dry like reading the USPSA rule book.
Well, if you read Ken Nelson's rules from Hard as Hell, and Bruce has shot Hard as Hell, I want to say the last 2 years. Because Brian and I went out there, Brian Ray, who's my brother-in-law and my teammate on Team Sampson Double Star. We went to Hard as Hell 3 years ago and came back to Kentucky, and we're like, that was awesome. And so I think Bruce went year before last as well and was squatted with him. And if you read Ken Nelson's rules, they're hilarious to that match. And so Bruce kind of put it out there kind of similarly and kind of tongue in cheek. Some of the rules are, this is supposed to be hard, so suck it up.
Right.
These are the rules, and they may change, and they may be specific to a stage after we build it to make you shoot it like we want you to, or to cut down the gaming, or sometimes just to make the stage flow in the right direction for safety reasons or for whatever.
Mm-hmm.
So,
well, and fun fact, I don't know if I ever told you guys this, but after talking to you and Brian Ray about Hard as Hell, I actually went and shot it, and you guys are the reason that I went and shot it. I mean, it's a Western match, but I was traveling around at the time, and so I actually went out to Sups in southern Utah, St. George, and shot the 2016 match because of you dudes.
Yeah, we had barbecue together.
Hell yeah, we did.
That was good. I went back to that place last year. It was awesome.
Was it?
Yeah, I mean, you can't get barbecue that good around here, I don't think. What was it, JJ's Barbecue or something like that? It was in Washington. Yeah. But anyway, yeah, the Hard as Hell match is where this type of match in Blue Ridge, and I think the biggest difference is Blue Ridge is of course a well-established match. I think this year will be my 10th Blue Ridge coming, and it's always been hard. and it's at 3-minute timeouts. And it is really kind of a set rule set. It hadn't changed a whole lot. I can think, we were trying to think of the rule sets that have changed in Blue Ridge in 10 years. And we could remember the addition of a red dot to limited, which I don't remember when that happened. And I fought that tooth and nail. Man, I hated that idea. And now all I shoot is a red dot. But, I was such a dick online about everybody that wanted to shoot a red dot. I was like, you're ruining limited, blah, blah, blah. And of course, there were only like 6 people that would shoot limited then because you had to shoot irons. So the red dot was supposed to expand it, and it did do that. And I guess, whatever. They were right and I was wrong. Okay. But I still think that it'd be kind of cool to shoot irons from time to time. And I do at some local matches.
They actually had an irons division at the Wyoming Magpul Governors match that I shot last year, and it was a true irons.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, there was very, very few people in it, though.
Yeah, how many people shot in that division? Do you know?
I'll
4.
I could tell you, but it wasn't on practice score. I don't know where the hell the scores are, but I would say less than 8 for sure.
Well, I when I first started shooting 3-gun, that's the reason I shot irons is because that's all I had on my gun. And I had the carry handle AR. You know what I'm talking about?
Oh, nice.
I'm not talking about detachable. It was.
Oh, really? Like it was the part of the receiver?
Yeah, the first Blue Ridge I shot was with a A1 upper.
Nice.
With a demilled 1 in 12 A1 upper and a GI lower. I still have it. It shoots pretty good as long as you don't shoot heavy bullets. But so I shot limited for the first couple years and that, and so Blue Ridge's rule set would only allow for that, as most matches would only allow for that. A dot was not an option. And then they changed that, and then I want to say Andy changed where they would allow the grip safety to be considered a active safety.
Oh,
so
I gotcha.
When you jumped to 1911, even if your thumb safety wasn't on, if your grip safety had not been disengaged, then it counted as a safety. And I think that's it. I think those are maybe the only 2 rules, and maybe I'm wrong. There could be something that I'm overlooking, but I don't think that anything has changed related to Blue Ridge rules. And and Blue Ridge is also, you're kind of on your own from the start to the end. No matter how long it takes you, or no matter how much you've messed up, or no matter what happens with your gear, you're solo. And with matches like Hard as Hell and matches like Bruce's match, and the flavor kind of came from Hard as Hell, it is a coaching match. You can coach.
Yeah.
And you can,
it's interesting.
to some degree, even help, which is something that a lot of people, there's some controversy about whether that's really, a competition at that point.
Yeah, and I saw some videos of helping, and we'll get to that in the match flavor here, I think. So it was on practice score.
Yes, it was.
The schedule, unique schedule on this match because there's a lot to try to cram into 2 days.
Oh yeah, and in February, in March, in the beginning of March in Kentucky,
not a lot of sunshine.
Yeah, so we were hoofing it, and there was a division, the ROs and a couple of other, I don't know how many exactly, but maybe a dozen or so other competitors shot all of the stages in one day on Friday, the day before. And they ended up, it was called the hard ass match. And you got a special patch for that. Like Bruce has these patches made up, and that's basically your participation trophy.
I like it.
And he says, everybody bitches and moans about participation trophies, but people can't, line up fast enough to get their rock hard patch at the end of the match because they all feel like they've accomplished something because you kind of have.
Yeah, but that's exact same way as Spartan race is. Everybody gets a medal at the finish at the end. The top 3 guys get some sort of trophy and I think some cash or something. But there's several thousand other people that do it just for the medal, and they're proud of it, super proud of it.
Right. I mean, maybe the best thing that I won last year before last, was a tab at Hard as Hell. Mm-hmm. I just think it's cool, and I'm never going to sell it. I'm not going to put it on, Enos or some garage sale Facebook thing. I mean, that's something I'm going to keep forever. And I just think that those kind of things are kind of neat. I mean, now that was actually something I won. It wasn't just for participation, but still, those patches and those type of things, I don't know, they're just kind of neat.
I like them. They're very unique, you know.
And they cost a match director like $3 a
right.
piece, you know. So anyway, I don't even remember what we were talking about.
So
now.
we're talking about the schedule. So the RO shot the first day, which was Friday of the match, and understand they had to finish in the under headlights on a couple stages.
Oh yeah, they wore headlamps, and some of them had weapons lights on. Now this is in a field, so this is in Thunder Valley around cars and shit. So yeah, they did the. I guess remember what was the Mark Wahlberg movie, the Undefeated movie or whatever, where he's the Eagles football player. You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah, I can't.
With the headlamps on or whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, there's stuff on Facebook and there's some videos of these guys out jumping around and running around on tops of cars with headlamps on the stage. And I think they did a couple of the hard ass squads finished that way. One was down in Cowboy Town and one was in Thunder Valley on those cars. And let me tell you what, that was extremely challenging in the middle of the day.
Yeah, no kidding. Well, and so for the
they got the shaft a little bit, I guess.
So for the main match, it was a full day match each day, right?
Yeah, every bit of a full. Well, we didn't shoot until believe it or not, you know, shooting 3 stages a day. In the way that he has the stages laid out, there's not a lot of reset. And there's hardly any reset past about the first third of the shooter's movement. So we got done in time for people to shoot side matches on Saturday.
Nice.
And they shot side matches for, I don't know, a couple hours. We had a couple hours of daylight to shoot side matches. So that's part of the reason for the matches, so people can shoot these side matches, because it helps generate some revenue for the charity.
Yeah.
So what Bruce does, and he gives a very interesting shooter's brief at the beginning, is, you know, if you guys don't freaking get done, then you don't get to come shoot these side matches that I got set up for you. So, you know, move your asses. That type of pep talk. It's not really a pep talk. It's more of a cracking the whip on you. But people do want to do that. And shooting 3 stages with the experienced shooters that come to this and the people that come to this, and the reason they come to it is not to loaf.
Yeah. Well, and so you had, let's see, it was a $200 match fee, 137 shooters.
137 shooters actually shot some of the match. I think they had 4 DQs, if I remember right.
Okay.
But yeah, 133 people finished it.
Gotcha.
Or shot most of it or whatever. So.
All right. So let's cover divisions and winners here, and then let's talk about those side matches.
Okay. All right. Division TAC Optics. We really had some talent that came out to this thing.
Yeah.
You know, the first year there was some talented shooters there. We have some really good shooters in this area, but so Timmy Ackley is first. Jacob Tukasik was second, and Matt Kupika was third. So we had a Michigan contingent, an Indiana fairly local boy, and Tim who's now living out in Utah.
Yeah,
and Brian made the trip with him from Utah. So we had some pretty good talent there. And then in TAC Irons, the winner was Jacob Blount, who won last year. I was second. Joel Fox was third.
Congratulations.
And, thank you. Jacob beat me last year as well, but I think he might be 16 or 17 years old. I'm not really sure how old he is. Or he might be in his 20s. He just looks that young to me. But he runs like a deer. You know, I watch videos of him. He's running around. There's no way I can move that fast. I could not move that fast if I was falling from a building. So anyway. In open, Brian Butcher won. Mark Roth was second, and Stockton was third. So, and then our division winners, Sky Killian came up from Texas, and of course her home range, and she's going to be the match director of the Hard as Hell Texas match.
Sweet.
Jacob Blout was High Mill. High LE was Farwell, and I'm sorry I don't know everybody's first name.
That's Joe Farewell from
yeah,
Florida.
That's Joe Farewell, right? And Mark Lackley was the top junior, and senior was Mr. Weller. And again, I'm really bad with first names, so
I think that's Tom Lackley, right? Is junior? I think.
Yeah. Yeah. So, and I think he finished pretty high too.
Yeah.
So, but
he's coming on hot.
Yeah, I think he might have even had some. Well, I'm not sure how. I think Tim won almost every stage overall, but he might have been second in one stage. Maybe he fell down or his gun stopped working or something. I don't know, but he's something to watch.
It's kind of a fun thing, Brian, doing these match recons, because it forces me to look at the winners, and then we've kind of been we started out doing just like, who won first place, but I don't think that tells the whole story. And so we dug into like third place on this, and you're seeing a lot of the same names and in matches like all across the country. It's pretty interesting.
Well, and you look at the folks that are willing to travel to a match like this, and like there's like no. Bruce does a weird thing. I hate to talk about prize tables, but whatever. They're going away. Okay, I don't know if anybody told you that, but they're far less than what they have been.
Mm-hmm.
So a lot of shooters, and I mean some really serious ones, are looking for what they want in a match is good stages and that type of thing. And this match certainly had it, and it really drew from. I mean, we had people from all over the freaking place, and it's because of some of the exposure that it got from last year, and just watching the videos and stuff like that from last year. People were like, "Holy crap!" So, I can't remember who did the numbers on it, but Tim, shooting 10 stages at Hard as Hell last year, shot for like 17 minutes total.
Yeah.
So Tim shooting at Rock Hard this year in 6 stages shot for 17 plus minutes.
And that's the winner of the match.
And that's the winner, right? I mean, I shot for almost 20 minutes, I think, and it felt like it. But this is 5-minute timeouts, and the best shooters are shooting them. I mean, really, really talented shooters are shooting these stages in 3 minutes,
right?
Or 3 to 4. That's kind of what Bruce wanted. And Brian and I helped design and set up. We went down there the weekend before and set up one of the stages. And I mean, we went through it several times with a stopwatch, kind of figuring out where right about 3 minutes was, like hitting everything the first shot, and knowing that nobody would probably do that.
Right.
And last year we designed a stage for the first one that was called the B&B stage, and some people have seen it on the internet, but we got some. It started that you were laying in a bed, and we got some Samson sheets made and pillowcases. Right. So you laid in this bed in supine position with your rifle was staged actually under the bed. And so you got up and, shot the stage from part of it from the bed. And so like hardly anybody finished that freaking stage. I mean, it was 5 minutes, and maybe 12 people finished it out of 100 or something.
God, that's crazy.
And so this year we had to outdo ourselves. So we did something similar where you ran through a thicket shooting. I think you shot 16 targets that were like 8-inch plates at 50 and 60 yards offhand.
Nice.
So this one was called the Plan B stage. That's but Bruce kind of gave us a little instruction about kind of how he wanted it. And I've never set up a stage. Usually it's been for matches that Brian and I put on, but I've never set up a stage and been a little nervous when Bruce showed up about like, is he going to change this around? Because he's real particular. He has a vision, man. And
yeah.
He wants it followed. And we were pretty close. he didn't really give us too much trouble over how we had it set up. But um, doing stuff at Rock Castle, there's just no end to how creative you can be because they'll let you do anything you want to.
Yeah, it's a pretty incredible opportunity. Well, speaking of other opportunities, so let's talk about those side matches. Brian, there's a pistol, shotgun, PCC, rifle, and a trap side match, right?
Right. So one thing was Friday evening, you can show up the night before if you want to while it's still light, and they have wobble trap there that David Power is running.
Mm-hmm.
And Powers is doing like 50% payback to the charity on the wobble trap. So some people did that some people showed up probably around lunchtime and were like looking at stages. And after they looked at stages, they go shoot wobble trap.
Mm-hmm.
And you could do it as many times as you wanted to. I think it was $5 a round or something like that. And
50% goes back to Mission 22, which is the charity that this match supports.
Right. Yeah. And then there's a payout to the winners. And I can't remember how, I think everything went back because I think Gamale supplied all of the clays and so forth.
Oh, nice.
So the other side match that goes on, and let me say something about the side matches. The side matches, there's a pistol, a rifle, a shotgun, and a PCC side match. The pistol, rifle, and shotgun are in the bays.
Mm-hmm.
Or I'm sorry, pistol, PCC, and the shotgun are in the bays. That you do all of those Saturday evening after you shot your first 3 stages. And people did that for like 2 hours in the evening because we finished early enough for people to go up there. And you can do them as many times as you want. And the winner wins the PCC. And,
oh, nice.
Yeah. So the way that you buy into these is you donate to Mission 22. And there's no set buy-in to these side matches. You just have to donate. And Bruce says at the beginning of all this, he said, whatever you feel is appropriate is what you need to donate. And you can shoot our side matches for nothing. You don't have to pay a dime to shoot our side matches, but none of your buddies that are standing around are going to let you get away with that. And so it's kind of being shamed. And so most people give 10, $20 or whatever. And it really is kind of weird how it starts to take shape because, folks are shooting the pistol side match and somebody shoots it really well, but maybe not as well as they could have. And somebody will walk up and donate $10 for that person to shoot it again, not
nice.
even for them to shoot it again. So those side matches, as well as the match fees and some t-shirt sales there and so forth, are what raises the money for the charity, which is Mission 22, which raises awareness to veteran suicide,
right?
And is one of the major charities that Rockcastle is involved in, and is kind of what a lot of their matches benefit there. So,
I got you. So there's the pistol side match. Describe the what you had to do there.
The pistol side match, you had you shot X number of plates from different ports, and whoever could move to those ports and shoot all those plates in the least, as fast. It was like a stage. Okay. And so, but it was real quick. It was quick and down and dirty, no reset, that type of thing. The PCC side match, I think, was 5 plates in a bay from 2 positions. So you shot the 5, you moved to another position, you shot the other 5. And the ammo was all provided, for all this. And you actually shot their PCC there. And
oh, okay. Stage gun.
Who provided the PCC, but whoever won that particular side match, I think, got to take the PCC home. The one of the prize PCCs was donated by Jake Takasik, who's like an 18-year-old shooter, I think, 17 or 18-year-old shooter.
Nice.
And so he donated. He won it last year and decided to donate it back to raise money for Mission 22. So
yeah, how cool is that?
That very cool, very cool. That says a lot about the kind of folks that come to this match.
Absolutely.
And the kind of folks that are the young shooters that are being brought up, obviously, in this kind of environment, are seeing that that's important because he's been up and comer for 3 or 4 years now.
Yeah. I gotta say, like the young people that I meet in Three Gun are some of the coolest young people out there. You know, I was blown away when I first started shooting major matches, and I would talk to young people, and they'd just talk to me like I'm an adult, like they're adults, and it wasn't like a weird stare at the ground conversation like you have with other kids. You know, it just seems like there's more responsibility and more maturity in the crowd.
Well, and you know, they're around adults and they're interested in the same thing. I mean, I probably act more like a kid at three gun matches than an adult, but
I was gonna say the maturity eventually goes downhill.
and I'm not sure that I can judge who's acting like an adult, but um, I'm not sure you should either. But anyway, I know what you mean. They seem very mature.
Yeah.
At least most of them do, and you know, they have a lot of responsibility for what they're handling weapons, and I think their parents have instilled in them a kind of a higher level, a higher awareness of their responsibility to act like a grown up, and so but I mean, seeing kids like Jake and some of the other kids that come to our local matches, you know, they do seem very mature.
Yeah.
And of course they can perform. It's amazing to see the young shooters, how they have accelerated in 2 or 3 years to better than just about everybody that helped them along. You know,
Yeah.
but
that part is kind of crazy. Well, probably a little humbling too.
yeah, I mean, I guess so. But it's good to see because, you know, if they were a bunch of little shits, it would make you feel worse. But they're not. They're good kids, so it makes you feel, you know, it makes you feel good about the sport.
Yeah, you want to root them on, right?
Right, you do. You want to root them on because they're good kids. So, or adults now, because I think he's 18 years old. And of course, Tim's 19 or 20 or whatever he is. But, you know, I can remember some of the shooters from years ago that were in their teens, and you know, it's always been the case that the kids that shot in the shooting sports have seemed to had their head on straight.
Yeah.
Just always seemed that way to me.
Absolutely.
There's probably been some exceptions, but I don't really remember them. So anyway.
It seems like they don't stick around very long, the exceptions.
I mean, just in general, either it's kids or grown people, the dickheads don't seem to stick around very long in this sport.
Yeah.
You know, we kind of get rid of them or weed them out somehow or another. There's been a few that have hung on, but anyway, not naming any names.
No, man, name some names. No, I'm just kidding.
All of the side matches also, there was a patch that was awarded that is in a crown shape, and it is the Rock Hard, like PCC King, or the Rifle King, or the whatever Shotgun King. And the shotgun side match was just he had these spinning targets, and you can see them online. They're an original target to this match. I've never seen one like them. And he made them or developed them for this match because he didn't want to have to reset shotgun targets. Or he wanted to limit the amount of reset for shotgun. So he got these targets figured out with some dude in Shelbyville, Kentucky, that it's like a spinner, but it's not, you know, it's only got one paddle down below, and you have to shoot it with your shotgun and spin it around. So it has, in the back of it's painted orange, so the RO has to call it as good. Okay.
Nice.
So the shotgun side match was like 10 of those as fast as you could shoot them. And then the rifle side match, which is the evening before the main match, everybody lines up, pays their money to get in, and then you have you insert a mag, you chamber around, you drop your mag, and from low ready, you shoot an offhand target at like 100 yards, right? And everybody that hits it then gets to go again at like 150. And then everybody that hits that gets to go again until no man remains, right? It's elimination.
Right.
You can buy your way back in one time at the beginning. So if you miss the 100 or whatever, you can pay again and get back in. So last year, Fitzpatrick won it. And then this year, his dad, Travis, won it.
Oh, nice.
So yeah, so the Fitzpatricks are, I guess they just, go in their backyard and shoot things offhand all day long. I don't know, you know, but it's really high drama because everybody stays for it. I mean, everybody there's like 100 people standing around with their rifles slung over their shoulder, and everybody's been, eliminated, but two guys, and they're going back and forth shooting this 200-yard popper offhand, and it's really pretty fun. So, and then everybody goes to the lodge, puts their guns up, and sits around the bar until 2:00 in the morning.
I like how I like the matches that can get the entire match in one place. We talked about this with recently with Generation 3 gun. They did a Generation 3 gun. Their focus is on the youth as well. So they have youngsters that are shooting the match, and they have their own division, right?
Right. It's a great match.
What the hell do we call it? Junior. There we go. Junior division. And so now they take the juniors in the order that they finish. They pick two adults, and it's like a shoot-off thing. They did this last year. And it was cool as hell to have the entire match in one place watching this shoot-off. So I can imagine the same type of energy at the Rifle King shoot-off.
Yeah, and last year it was a junior that won it. Won the Rifle King, beat everybody. Which is kind of cool. But we were just talking about that. Some of these juniors, they're better than most of the shooters that are out there anyway.
Yeah.
But yeah, I heard about the shoot-off, I think, last year. Because I met Brady Larkin at maybe the Pro-Am this last year.
Mm-hmm.
And he's a pretty impressive young fella. He's kind of cool.
Yeah.
So.
All right. So, Brian, let's talk about the match flavor. This very unique match obviously has its own flavor. So if you had to describe it, what would it be?
Well, I would say that if you like physical, a lot of movement, some physical challenges, and really, this is not, none of these stages were like memory stages or, had a whole lot. As you moved through the stage, the targets did present themselves, and there was coaching allowed. So if you started really you didn't grab your shotgun on your way to the next array or whatever, and you were supposed to, somebody's going to freaking yell at you and tell you. So you're not going to have that kind of disaster.
Yeah.
But they were 5-minute stages, and you needed the best shooters there. It was designed for the best shooters there to finish them in about 3 minutes. And that's pretty much what happened. Mm-hmm. And there were quite a few timeouts, but you got to do a lot of shooting in the amount of time it took. So 6 stages with 5-minute timeouts, and every stage had 3 guns. Every stage had at least one gun slung at the beginning. There were times that you had to re-sling your gun. There were times that you had to switch over to another gun and sling it. You did reholster your pistol, although not hot, on, I want to say, every stage. So I
like that part of it. Yeah. Bruce described this when he was on the podcast recently, and correct me if I'm wrong on this one, but it's to save clearing guns, right? So what you do is you drop your mag, and then you take that last shot at a high value target, and then you holster it, right? So the gun is clear.
Yes, I hate high value targets because apparently I can't hit a high value target. I mean, I hit some of them, but I missed like 4 high value targets. So what he does is say your first array, you're going to have and this is like the B&B stage 6. You're carrying your shotgun in your weak hand. Now it doesn't have anything chambered, but it's loaded to division capacity. Your rifle is slung, and then you're shooting paper targets, strong hand only, as you go down the path. Okay. So then what Bruce wants you to do is you're going to shoot your pistol again, but right now he wants you to shoot your shotgun. So what he does is he has you put your shotgun down on a table. There's a table there, but there's not always a table there. In his stage last year, he didn't have a table, but you ground your shotgun, which is still safe. You dump your mag, and then you shoot your last round out of your pistol at a designated target before you holster it.
Mm-hmm.
So we know your gun's empty.
Mm-hmm.
And that target is generally worth like 20-second penalty. Okay.
That is a high value target.
Yeah, it's a high value target. And these were gunfighter target pizza boxes. So they're orange circle inside a black frame. And so when you hit it, it's hinged and it falls.
Okay.
So those are kind of cool to shoot at if you can hit them. But if you hit the frame, it's so disappointing. But I'm not sure my gun even shoots right. It might not even shoot straight with the mag out of it. I'm not sure. I'm going to have to actually check that because I miss so many of these things. But so you shoot the high value target, then you holster your pistol. Now, if you start to holster your pistol without dropping a mag, or you start to shoot at the high value without dropping the mag, the RO just yells at you. And there's no penalty for putting your weapon back in the holster hot, but they're just not going to let you do it. And until they're going to make you take it back out and clear it. And, you're not going to proceed.
Mm-hmm.
Basically, it's time on the clock. And I don't think that was really too big of an issue anyway for folks because of the coaching mechanism where they would say, okay, drop your mag. They would remind you if you started to engage the target without dropping your mag.
Right. Well, so how do you do with that? Like I'm not very good at first, I guess being cognizant of what's going on around me. When I'm shooting, and coaching sometimes throws me unless there's like a plan beforehand. And generally if I'm not expecting coaching and I get coaching, it like really screws me up because I'm just waiting for that stop command.
Well, and Bruce does say at the shooters meeting, if you don't want anybody to say anything to you, then you just tell them.
Oh, okay.
Tell the ROs at the beginning, I don't want to be told anything. Now, they are going to, I don't know at a match like that, after they've run 50 shooters through and they've had to tell everybody, they told everybody all day long, drop your mag, high value target or whatever. They just said it routinely. If they're going to be able to, they're going to do their best to try to accommodate you. But, sometimes you get into kind of a rhythm ROing if you've ever RO'd 200 people in 3 days or whatever. But
I've seen you with that dead stare in your eyes.
Oh, it's awful. It's just terrible. But, I don't know what I've said to people. I mean, people said, did you say? And I said, dude, I don't know what I said to you up there. I mean, that was 30 seconds ago.
First time I shot, or actually the only time I shot Blue Ridge, or I shot the first 3 stages of Blue Ridge anyway. I saw you after the match on the first night and in the parking lot, and we were having a beer, and you asked if I was shooting it. I was like, yeah, dude, I shot your stage today.
Yeah, you're just another pretty face to me.
Yeah, exactly.
And by about day 3 of Blue Ridge, I'm really not even happy to see people. I mean, I'm like, God, now I'm happy to see the last squad, but that's about it.
Right.
But I'm really just ready to be done because that's just that's a ball buster of a match to work.
Yeah,
I mean,
no kidding.
Brian and I, we did a Google Map thing, and one year we did a Google Map thing. In like 3 days, I think we walked like 33 miles or something.
That's incredible.
Just running 200 and however many shooters it was we ran. And I mean, it's like one of those matches, like you buy a new pair of boots, and then at the end of the 5 days, the boots have to be thrown away. There's just I've ruined Merrill boots in one Blue Ridge match.
That's incredible.
So factored that in.
That's rarely a consumable that we think about in 3-gun.
Yeah. And anyway, so
all right, man.
Match flavor for this is about you climbed over car. He had 4 cars set up in a row, and you started at one end with your rifle, and you had to shoot from the top of each hood. And I've never done that before. I mean, he had some skate tape on there so that you didn't fall and kill yourself.
Oh, that's nice.
Yeah, but at 9 o'clock in the morning in March, there's some dew in Kentucky.
Right.
And we had some interesting, things happen. And you shot through the vehicles with your shotgun and your pistol, and every stage was thought out to use the props in ways that I hadn't really seen before, and probably a lot of matches would think we're not going to do that because somebody will fall. and Bruce said, "Screw it, I'm going to do it, and I'll make it as safe as I possibly can. But I want to do this. I want to do it myself." He sets these stages up. He'll tell you these are for him. He wants to shoot them,
Right.
and it's for his enjoyment, and he's just glad that everybody came out with him to shoot and made it possible for him to have the resources to do this stuff. So, but yeah, the props were awesome. In Cowboy Town, if anybody knows about Cowboy Town, you shoot the entire Cowboy Town in one stage. You shoot the whole thing. The stage was called Circumnavigation. And it was, well, so, I don't know how far you go moving, 150 yards?
For people that haven't been to Rock Castle, why don't you describe Cowboy Town?
So it's a facade for cowboy action shooting, and it has a kind of a storefront walkway on one end that is probably 50 yards long, and then it has a metal building that you can move through and shoot in and out of one side, and then it has a facade of a bank and a couple other buildings. Probably the whole area is the size of about what I'd say a football field, something like that, with buildings around three sides of it, and you can shoot in any of those directions. And of course, you drive into it from the other side. So, you're kind of in this big U of cowboy action facades, and you can shoot in any direction. And so in this particular stage, you used all of that. It's really not meant to be used all the time because there's so much space in between them. So he had stuff set up all the way around. And actually, you ran across the road at one point where the vehicles come into the Cowboy Town. And at that point, your shotgun was unloaded, and you weren't allowed to load till you got to the other side of the road. That was part of the stage description. And also, you were supposed to yell an obscenity, including Bruce's name. It was like part of the stage description. So it was supposed to be like people would say, "Screw you, Bruce," or "You suck," or you used to date Hillary Clinton, or just terrible things. If you know Bruce's thing with Hillary Clinton, it's
huge fan.
But
anyone that hears this, go up and ask him about his obsession with Hillary.
Yeah, he still doesn't know why she's not in jail. But so that's kind of the Cowboy Town stage. But I think that was one of my fastest stages, and I think it was like 200 seconds.
Nice. All right. So let's talk about the skills utilized in the match. Usually, these are things like awkward positions and heavy focus on quad loading or offhand rifle and stuff. But this is a little unique this time.
Well, one of the biggest things that always comes up in a match like this, and I'm kind of surprised, is the slinging things.
Yeah.
There's lots of matches that require slinging a rifle now. And I think most people are fairly comfortable with that, although it does come up as a question sometimes when people shoot Blue Ridge or whatever, like, what kind of sling do I need? And what kind of sling do people recommend? But hardly anybody really ever talks about slinging shotguns. In this match, you had to have a shotgun slung a couple of times. And it's really very easy. Most people, they freak out about it, and they don't have a clamp on their tube extension or whatever, and they don't have a QD and all this different stuff. Okay, Brian Ray has a really interesting sling adaptation to his M1, which is he zip ties a sling to the front of it, and then he uses the sling swivel in the back.
Mm-hmm.
That's it.
Right.
It's not hard. Shotgun's like the easiest thing to figure out a sling for. You don't even need to zip tie it. You can just loop it over your mag tube extension and attach it to the existing sling swivel in the back, and the sling's generally not long enough to come off the end of the mag tube. So it works that way too. So that's one thing, is slinging weapons and slinging both weapons is something that you have to be able to do. Strong hand only pistol, because you have to carry some other stuff with you while you're shooting. Um, yeah, awkward positions because we shot underneath things. We shot through cars. We shot from tops of towers. I don't know. I mean, we shot from several different positions. We shot from a rollover prone type of position, like a slot that was 4 inches off the ground, shooting into the bays at steel. We shot from the top of an A-frame with your rifle, so that wasn't that awkward a position, but it was a position that you had to get into, and it had to be a good one because you shot like 10 steel targets from there. We climbed up through the roof of a house and shot from a trap door in the top of the roof with our rifle, and standing on a ladder.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was awkward, but it wasn't undoable. The targets weren't that far away. But just some of those things. So being versatile in your shooting positions, and then it probably helped to be in decent physical condition, or at least not terrible physical condition. Because at the end of 4 minutes, 5 minutes, you're moving pretty much all the time. There really wasn't a whole lot of stationary plop down and shoot. So you were moving a lot and over some distance. And so, it was not something that's for, it'd be very hard if you were not in some kind of physical condition. So.
I got you. Let's see. I think we covered them all there. So this is a question that we have on all of these. What is the terrain like? Base stages, natural terrain? Is there a mixture, and what's the proportion?
Well, we had a lot of mud, and it had rained, I think, the Wednesday before. So in that area, if you've ever been in that area, it stays kind of soft for, days after we have a significant rain. And we had quite a bit of rain. Actually had flooding in some parts of the state and so on, not down there. But this is open terrain. So this is, Thunder Valley. There were 3 stages in Thunder Valley, and Thunder Valley is like 3/4 of a mile long, I guess. And so we had, one stage in just itself might be over. You might be shooting in a 10-acre area. We shot targets out to 400 yards and could have gone a lot farther than that, but we just decided that was going to be the max for this particular match. So we ran through the woods. We had to cut trails through thickets. You ran shooting offhand targets through a cedar thicket. And then we also had one stage in the bays. And this is not a bay match per se, but we did shoot in the bays, and we used all 6 bays.
Yeah, so. that I think is a unique thing. So, yeah, I mean, we always want to know, is it like a, God, there's a lot of thoughts going through my head. I can't get them all out at the same time. So, the match that this is modeled after, which is hard as hell, is a bay match technically, right? But they use a lot of natural terrain features in that, going up and over bays and stuff like that. And then there are a couple stages on the end, each end, where you get that natural terrain in. So even though you did use the pistol bays in this match, using all 6 is fairly unique. So how was that done?
Well, you start at it's all blocked off. The road is blocked off. Nobody can drive down that past the bays or anything where you would normally park, because you're running through that parking lot. And you start at bay 1, and then you enter that bay, and then as you transition from bay to bay, shooting your pistol and shotgun and rifle, because your rifle is slung, so you don't shoot that to the very, very end, he actually has you go over the berms. And you shoot from the top of the berms, because in that direction, there's nothing in that direction that you can't shoot into those berms. In that direction, there's no, there's a good backstop there. Mm-hmm. There's nothing down that road forever. So, you go to the top of one of the first berms and shot slugs out to like 75 yards. And then you went down that berm and shot your shotgun again. Then you dumped your shotgun, and then you ran into 2 different bays shooting your pistol and rifle. So the very last bay is where he had an A-frame set up, so you actually ended shooting your rifle from the top of an A-frame. But I tell you, I think that might have been my fastest stage. Actually, I think I shot in like 186 seconds. I was whooped. I mean, and I was running as fast as I could go around and over and so forth in the berms. And yeah, it might as well not be at the bays. It could really be anywhere.
Mm-hmm.
But that's a good spot, and he calls it the Pistol Bay Rumble. He likes that name.
Yeah, PBR.
The PBR, and the winner of that stage wins a 6-pack of PBR. That's what he gave out last year, and he gave it out again this year. So that's what the winner gets. The 22nd place won like a gun or something. One of the things he does at this match is the winner of each stage gets something, as does 22nd place.
I like it. Goes with the theme of Mission 22.
He calls you the most a mediocre shooter, something like that. You won the most mediocre shooter prize. So like at the match, there's a winner of the division, and then he has 22nd place, and they both get something. So it's kind of a different flavor because he just doesn't feel like just the winner should necessarily get anything.
Right.
I think 22nd place in TAC Optics was Carrillo.
Oh, nice. Good job. All right, so we covered terrain, farthest shot and number of long range shots. So you said the 400 yard was the longest flasher. What were the rest of the shots like?
Most of the rifle is inside of 200, and now some of it's not real big. On one stage, which was at the barn, at the tobacco barn, you shot from 4 different positions, 4 different gongs out to 200 that were like 10-inch. Mm-hmm. And they weren't from fixed, like they were from off of this tree and laying in the prone position on top of this mound of dirt, those type of things. So even though they weren't that far, the shooting positions did make them pretty challenging. Some of the, like the bay stage, there were like 10 steel targets at the very end that I don't think any of them were farther than 50 yards. And they were like maybe 8-inch circles. So you shot them pretty fast. I mean, you could hammer on them pretty fast, but, you were shooting from top of an A-frame after running for 3 minutes. So that's kind of where the challenge comes from there. So the rifle shooting wasn't that challenging. The offhand rifle shooting on one stage was challenging for some folks, but not undoable. And of course, you finished shooting atop a tower out to like 400 yards. But there was 4 targets, 4 flashers under 200, one at like 3 and one at like just over 4, like 402.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
And we had a little wind. We had a little wind coming down Thunder Valley. And our squad was all talking about, or some of our squad was talking about the 400 and the wind hold, And this is a stage where you're shooting like, I don't know, you're moving 75, 80 yards through a thicket, shooting all 3 guns, shooting your shotgun twice, your pistol twice, 4 buckshot, I don't know how many rounds of bird shotgun, 16 offhand rifle. And your last position with your rifle and where the stage ends is on top of this tower. And everybody's talking about the wind on this 400-yard target. And I'm like, if you get to the 400-yard target without timing out, I would call it a win. I mean, I don't see where that's really that important. I mean, if that's your last target that you're shooting at and you're actually getting to shoot at it, then you probably finish in the top 30%.
Nice.
So, and everybody went, yeah, I mean, so the conversation about the wind on the 400-yard, I didn't even hit the 400-yard target. I think I shot at it like 6 or 7 times, but the, you got up there and thought, man, I got to be close to being out of time because there was a lot of people that didn't even make it to the tower, didn't make it up on top of it. So anyway. But 400 and the 400-yard target was a flash target, MGM flasher, right. Easy to call. All the targets were easy to call. So there wasn't any controversy with did I hit that type thing.
Right. So there's a stage gun, right?
The 50.
The 50. How far was the 50 shot?
1,000.
1,000 yards on a stage
Did I
gun.
forget to mention 1,000? I didn't say anything about the 1,000, did I? Yeah,
No.
there was a 1,000-yard target with a strobe on it.
Incredible. So how did that go? I mean, I've never seen a 1,000-yard target in a match. The farthest I've shot is like 640 yards or something like that.
I want to say at Blue Ridge, maybe 8 or 9 years ago, we shot a Barrett 50 at a car, and you just had to hit the car, and it was like 800 yards. So this was a gong, and it was like a Iron Maiden type target. You know, it was a little bigger than a regular IPSC target, and it was 1,000 yards. And they had a guy there from Barrett. You know, Barrett's out of Murfreesboro, Tennessee, which is not too far from Rockcastle. So Bruce said something to Nate Noble. Said, "Boy, I'd love to shoot. You know, to start that stage off, I'd love to shoot a 50." And Nate said, "Well, we can make that happen." So Barrett brought the 50 out and all the ammo, and you had to pay, I think it was $5 to buy your round, and they donated that money back to Mission 22 anyway.
That's cool.
And so that's how you started. You started behind the glass, crosshairs on the target. You could even have the safety off, and then I mean, it was cool. I would say maybe 50% people hit it.
Nice.
Because, you know, we had a good 15 mile an hour wind up there coming through Thunder Valley. And, you know, even a 50 at 1,000 yards, I mean, it's moving it quite a bit. So most people weren't holding enough wind. But
did you hit it?
Nope. No, I did not. It was a high value target, so I don't hit those.
That's right. I forgot about that.
Yeah.
So was that a 20-second penalty on that thing too then?
I think it was.
So it's pretty much you just can't get out of this match without a penalty. Is that what I'm hearing?
I got a lot of penalties. But a lot of people got a lot of penalties. I mean, it was a hard match to get out of without penalties.
Well, on this 50 shot, like I saw the smart people were off that platform before you could even hear the ding on the target.
Oh yeah, you could be up and standing up with your pistol in your hand before the strobe really was noticeable.
Yeah.
The flight time was pretty long.
Yeah,
so,
pretty incredible. And then, you know, obviously I couldn't see the strobe on the videos, so you're listening for the ding. And then the sound traveling back, obviously that takes a long time too.
Yeah, it was really cool, and a lot of people hadn't shot a 50 before, and I mean it was brand new, you know, military green.
Yeah.
The only thing that was kind of sucked about it was standing around it, you know.
Oh yeah.
I felt bad for the ROs. Jared Bender, I think, was the RO on that stage. And, yeah, it hurts your teeth being around that thing for more than like, you know, one squad. He was up there all day for 2 days, but
Jared's a military guy though, hasn't he?
Yeah, he's probably numb to that kind of
Yeah, he's
thing.
probably lost his hearing a long time ago. Jared, if you can hear this, let me know. All right, so the farthest shot, we talked about that. Longest slug, just over 60. Pistol shot, about 35 yards, not too bad.
Yeah.
So how was logistics? Check-in, scoring, prize table walk, etc.
Well, Bruce believes in communication. And so there was a lot of communication. I mean, this match has its own Facebook page, and he put walkthroughs for the stages on it the night before or days before as he was building them and getting them done. But as far as check-in, you registered through Practice Score. You checked into the match the night before or early the morning of. Plenty of time there. They had a shooter's bag and you know, some stickers and some patches and that type of thing. Samson provided the bags, by the way. Anyway, they said Samson on them. But as far as logistics, he put out the squads were listed in Practice Score, but they were up on he printed them out and put them up on the window to the bar the night before, and you went to the stage assigned to your squad number, And then what he ended up doing was you kind of did the zone thing. I don't know if you've done that at Rockcastle before, but so the three stages in Thunder Valley, you shot that the first day, and then the second day you shot the ones that weren't at Thunder Valley, that were on the other side of the property. So you shot 4, 5, and 6 your first day, no matter where you started. So if you were 6, you went to 4 and then 5, and then the second day you shot 1, 2, and 3. And that worked great. As far as like parking and that kind of stuff, because you had 3 squads there and they could all basically see each other from where they were at, you didn't have a backup. You know what I mean? You could wait for that squad to get out of your way before you went up there to park and that type of thing.
I gotcha.
So it went really well. And then the everything finished and started on time.
Weird.
Yeah, the side matches started on time. The prize table started on time. I think I got out of there at maybe 6 o'clock or something like that on Sunday evening. I mean, that's not bad.
No, it's not bad at all for a big match like that, where you're, I don't know, almost 140 people. Yeah, it's pretty good.
Yeah. Well, and people, I liked the prize table at matches sometimes. But a lot of times, you want to get out of there. I mean, people want to get out of it. It's done, the match is over, and that type of match, everybody's exhausted. But I mean, I think Bruce did a really good job of kind of recognizing that and going, okay, we're going to get this prize table on the roll. We have to thank people, and you want to thank the people that have worked the match and have put it on and done so much for it and sponsored it and that type of stuff. And I think he efficiently recognized all those folks. And but I mean, the prize awards, because there wasn't a table, it was awards of folks that were based on the scores, got things. And then some random, they had a raffle too, so they had to do the raffle and so forth. But I wouldn't say it took more than about an hour, something like that, which wasn't bad.
No, that's not bad at all. All right, so we talked about pre-communication. I skipped one there. Venue. So Rockcastle. Let's talk about Rockcastle. We always have repeat listeners, but sometimes we've got someone who's never listened to the podcast before, may not be familiar with Rockcastle Shooting Center. Let's talk about that for a minute here.
Well, I mean, Rockcastle Shooting Center is kind of near and dear to me because I live an hour north of there, and it was the first place I really ever shot a 3-gun match. Mm-hmm. And it is a few thousand acres of rolling Kentucky hills down next to Mammoth Cave National Park. It actually borders Mammoth Cave National Park. And I guess it's been open there as a shooting center for about 10 years now. And it has, pistol bays. It has trap, skeet, sporting clays. They now have a long-range rifle platform set up out near the Red Barn on the way to Thunder Valley. I don't know if you've ever seen it, but they poured a concrete, pad, that type of stuff to shoot long-range rifle out there.
Yeah, but I heard about that. I saw the pictures of it. I haven't been there yet since they poured that.
That's where they did the Rifle King thing, was out there. So they have some steel out there and that type of stuff if you want, because long range has gotten to be a big deal around here too. So they do a lot of long range, like PRS type stuff. And they even do a 22 PRS thing. That's so they alternate 22 matches and then regular PRS matches there.
Cool. And
it's kind of a local flavor type thing, but it's also a series. There's a guy named Adam Vaught that does them. No relation to me, as far as I know. So that's kind of a regular thing at Rockcastle too, because there's parts of it that are very expansive and open. And then there's parts of it that are more wooded and just have clearings and so forth. It really kind of lends itself for a lot of variety in stages. Mm-hmm. So if you go to shoot at Rockcastle and you do a 3-gun there, you're not going to you might shoot 1 or 2 stages in like a gravel bay, but the majority of what you shoot is probably going to be, I mean, at the Pro-Am last year, we shot 1 stage on a golf course. I mean, it's on one of the we shot from the tees
You
of
know,
a
it's
yeah. So
it's
they have
incredible.
a golf course there too, by the way. But
Yeah, it's incredible when you hear about, because I've heard so many great stories about Rock Castle Shooting Center, especially it's I've been there I think like 5 or 6 times, and then associating with you and Brian Ray, get to hear all kinds of great stories of stuff that's happened in the past. But one of the things I've always heard about is shooting on the golf course, and I couldn't really picture in my head how that would be done, and then we did it at
one year,
we did
Pan
it at the
Am
pro am.
shotgun. They had the USPSA Pan Am shotgun there. I don't
Yeah.
remember how many years ago. So they took a bulldozer and around the perimeter of the back nine of the golf course, past where the pro shop is, they cleared bays into the woods. And there, I don't know how many they set up. I think it was like 30 stages total for that whole match. But so they had like a dozen stages because, USPSA shotgun, not all of them are very long. So you don't need a big area, but they just do need to be spread out enough.
Right.
So people drove around the perimeter of the back nine, shooting into the woods, which has a ridge behind it. So you're basically shooting into a hillside. And that was kind of where the majority of the stages, or where a lot of the stages were. It was really neat. So, they're willing to do that kind of stuff. Really, Brian and I put on local matches there, and they're, as long as it's safe, you're shooting in a safe direction, you're shooting onto their property. There's a lot of the places you're kind of in a bowl,
Mm-hmm.
and you're in a bowl that's like 1,600 yards long. So you have a lot of, options with that property.
Yeah, there's several safe directions.
Yeah, I mean, we shoot our team event. We shoot from a moving golf cart,
Right.
and a lot of people are like, "Well, how do you do that safely?" Well, if you head down this gravel road, there is nothing. Like if you shoot in that direction, you could shoot out of the front of the golf cart all the way to the back of the golf cart, and as long as you're not shooting back at the start position, there's virtually nothing that you can hit in that direction. That's people. Unless you put it out over the berm, which there's no way to do anything about that. But we're shooting basically at our targets, which are downhill. And if you see videos of the team event, it's there's just very few places you can do that where you can drive a golf cart for 200 yards shooting out of it and have a backdrop and a backstop that just goes the whole way with them. So yeah, Rock Castle also has a lodge. It has a restaurant, and in the last 5 or 6 years, they've been able to serve alcohol. So
Yeah.
the party does. There's always been that there, as far as brought in, but there's always been some parties at the Rock. The first pro-am it was classic, but there's a whole lot of socialization that goes on there. You don't just go back to your hotel room and crash, although you're welcome to do that. But, I think 2:00 in the morning, you could have gone down to the lobby and there'd still been people down there.
Yeah.
During this match. So,
Yeah. And several other matches too. It's pretty incredible.
I mean, it's pretty regular. Yeah, it's pretty regular. So,
Yeah. And I would think that when you hold a match at Rock Castle, that adds like a flavor to it of its own. Just being at Rock Castle in that environment.
Yeah, and we had a guy from the UK there. The guys, you don't get to see these folks all the time. So
Right.
It's kind of nice to not just shoot with them. You don't have to worry about getting your social time in while you're all out the range, although that's part of it too. But you're going to have some time to hang out, catch up, have a few beers, get something to eat. All the meals were provided during this match for all the shooters.
Nice.
So you ate breakfast in the morning on a buffet. They brought you your lunch in a box lunch during the day, and then they had a buffet both nights, and it was phenomenal. It was really good.
Nice.
So, and the booze was for you. You had that was not included. So
Got to buy your own booze.
you got to buy your own booze, but that's a small price to pay. Plus the money stays there. It goes back to Rock Castle.
And I've heard Bruce Davidson speak several times about that specific concept. Is have your meals and your drinks at Rock Castle, so the so we can continue having matches like this in the future, so the business succeeds, which is a great concept, right? Makes a ton of sense. But Bruce like designed this match around it, right? So your meals are included. So now that's part of your match fee. He puts like you said, the shooters or the Matrix in the bar. So he wants you there. Like, Bruce is a smart guy.
Yeah, and a part of it's twofold because it helps them keep people on schedule. I mean, if you got to be at breakfast that's free at 6:30, you'll probably be there. And then you'll be at the shooter meeting at 7 or, whatever. And then if he brings you your lunch, and says, here's your box lunch, now get to the next stage. People generally know that there's limited amount of time. He's trying to get finished. He really makes a point about staying on schedule and about how he gives a little spiel about how, if everybody here takes 30 more seconds to get ready than they need to, then we're all going to finish 2 hours behind tonight.
Right.
And so people really take that to heart. And when you show up to one of his stages, and he made a point this year, and this was part of the match, kind of the rule set, I guess you would say, or the logistics of it, was the ROs will call for the squad, but they're really only waiting for the first 3 shooters. And when the first 3 shooters are there, they do the walkthrough. They start the walkthrough right then when the first 3 are there. The first 3 in order to shoot that stage.
Mm-hmm.
If you're not there, then you're going to have to catch up and get somebody to tell you what's going on. So when they call walkthrough, you're supposed to walk down, but they're not going to hold for the last person to get there. If they're at their car or they're getting their water or, whatever they're doing, going to the bathroom, they're only really interested in the first 3 shooters because that took a lot of time, and you've been to matches where you're like, okay, walk through, and it's like 15 minutes that somebody's not there.
Right.
So they're really only wanting the first 3. And Bruce tells everybody that, and he's like, so if you want to get the RO version of the walkthrough, you need to be there when they call you. But it really wasn't an issue. I didn't see it as an issue, and I don't think anybody else, there was no complaints about it, because you were told at the get-go, and most of the people that came to this match were pretty compliant with being on time and being at the right place. And you really didn't feel pushed.
Well, Bruce demands like a level of personal responsibility from his shooters too. It's not like he doesn't allow a shooter to be a prima donna.
Right. Well, and you don't feel like that at this match. It really is a feeling like you're all in this together because the stages are so freaking hard and long.
Yeah.
That you're really paying attention. I mean, there's matches where people wander off, because they know how they're going to do it and they don't care what you do.
Right.
This isn't really one of those. You're watching to see how slick those cars are, whether it's the best shooter or the worst shooter. If he's going in front of you, you're paying attention. So there's a lot to pay attention to here. And so it is kind of a collective squad type thing. And there's coaching. So, one of the videos, and you may have been talking about this earlier, alluding to this earlier, was somebody throwing shotgun shells into somebody's shotgun.
Yeah, that's what I was talking about.
But that's how much is that helping that guy? Well, it's helping him, but I mean basically the stage wasn't going very well.
Yeah.
And so, but that's just kind of a cool factor. And here you got Trant, who's really one of the best shooters out there, very highly competitive shooter, and he's paying attention to everybody in his squad to see if they need help.
Mm-hmm.
And that's just kind of part of the flavor of this match. It's nobody goes to their truck and reloads mags when somebody's shooting necessarily because they're trying to pay attention to whether or not they need anything. And I mean, I think Brian Ray ran 2 guns out to people. I think one was on a squad that wasn't even ours.
So this is a replacement gun match?
Yeah, it's like shotguns down. We need a shotgun. And it's like, he's hoofing it. He's quick. He's a quick little sucker. But, he's hoofing a shotgun out to him.
Well, he's so low to the ground.
Yeah, he moves fast. It's amazing. Like little, he's got them little hobbit feet that just scoot. But anyway, um, yeah, but so that type of thing it's everybody's involved when somebody's shooting. It's really kind of fun. And that's kind of you've been hard as hell, and it's like that. It's hard as hell too. You know,
Right.
everybody is watching somebody, and if somebody needs some help, then it's funny how everybody jumps into like it's like a Chinese fire drill type of thing, trying to find a shotgun that's like either unloaded or whatever they can take out to them.
Yeah, Vortex shooter source is like that too.
Yeah, yes, yeah. I shot that last year. I shot that last year with you.
Yeah,
You're both- yeah.
that's what I'm saying. Like,
That's 2 matches. Yeah.
yeah.
Well,
So remember Brian getting ready to shoot, and he's like, "Who's got a Glock?" And I was like, "I got a Glock." He's like, "Put it on that table." I'm like, "Okay," and I didn't know why at the time, but it was in case his goes down, then you run that up to him.
well, and I went back to shooting a Glock right before Hard as Hell because I was shooting a 320 and I wanted to shoot the same pistol that he did because we're flying out there. And then if something happens, I'll be shooting the same pistol, have the same holster. I mean, I know it's not a big deal, but I don't really shoot one pistol better than the other. I don't shoot either pistol very well. That's kind of the way it is. But Tom Young was one of the match range masters at the Rock Hard match, and so those guys shot through. Him and Dave Merriman shot all those stages in one day for their hard ass, but they shot through. So they're working the match. So Tom Young's shotgun goes down right at the very end of one of the stages down at Cowboy Town. Of course, you started your the stage with a shotgun full of slugs. It had 9 slugs in it to begin with. So Tom calls for a shotgun because his shotgun's screwed up. Well, a shell came apart in there or something. And he's yelling, "I need a shotgun," and Brian runs and brings him one up, and he hands it to him. He goes, "This shotgun's empty, damn it," and afterwards he goes, "You handed me an empty shotgun." And Brian goes, "Well, it would have been full of slugs." And he goes, "Oh, I didn't think of that because the last portion of it was all bird.
Right,
I mean, and some
right.
of it was fine clay. So, I mean, it'd been kind of hard to shoot those with a slug. But so he goes, "Oh, yeah, it was, wasn't it? Well, thanks. Anyway, but those are the kind of things that I think the coaching and the bringing guns, the stage he was run out of time. I think he might have actually timed out before he got to the end of it just because his shotgun, shit on him. But, and it was his ammo. It wasn't a shotgun. But, it doesn't really help that shooter at that point that much, and you just, I think it's more fun and the match has got a better flavor to it if you can do those kind of things. It's probably not for every match.
Mm-hmm.
It's not for every match, but for matches where you have 5 minutes to shoot them and it takes most people at 5 minutes, I think it's kind of cool.
Yeah. Yeah. There's definitely like good arguments both ways, but yeah, again, when 5 minutes and a lot of people are timing out, what's it going to hurt?
Well, and Bruce's description of helping is that his requirement is that it has to be organic, quote unquote. It can't be planned.
Oh.
Now, I don't know how you know that for sure, but I don't think based on how people were scrambling around, yelling and so forth, I'm pretty sure it didn't happen inorganically on any of the times that I saw it. But, like if somebody needs a Glock mag, you can't just have one in your back pocket waiting to hand it to them.
Right.
You know what I mean?
It
has to be. And for most of your best shooters, they're not really having those kind of issues. But gear, like you don't want somebody to rifle to puke on them and they're going to completely time out right at that position with, a bunch of other stuff to shoot when you can get them another rifle and they can finish the stage. Well, maybe some people do feel like they should just, eat it. But this particular match is not like that. So.
Yeah, I can see how you could game that. I would imagine having 4 preloaded shotguns would be one way to do it.
Right.
And yeah, you might want to get one of those jerk awards for that one. But all right, so let's move on to pre-communication. You said that Bruce likes to keep everyone aware of everything. There were several Facebook posts, and I even got an email on this one. Bruce included me on it so he could, I could see what the match flavor was like. But yeah, there's seems like he, I don't want to say over communicated, but there were very little questions going in. It looks like.
Yeah, I mean, I think you almost have to at this one. Like the round count was, I want to say it was like 172 a rifle and like 150 bird and I don't know, 160, 70 pistol. See, that's a little misleading.
Right.
So it's more like 400 rifle, because these aren't gimme shots, and you're not shooting a lot of paper, and so I think he had to put a lot of that stuff out there ahead of time. Now, if you shot it last year, you realize this, but if you didn't shoot it last year, he didn't want people coming with expecting 172 rounds of rifle, bringing 200 with them,
Right.
because that's not going to do it. So he did a really good job with that. And then he did a good job recognizing sponsors, and he did a good job recognizing the charity, I think. I think he did all of that really well. And then you knew where to be and to be ready. So I think as far as communication, he did a great job. Most of the stuff on the Facebook page was good, but also he sent out multiple emails to the shooters through Practice Score to give updates within the 2 or 3 days and up to the day before the match started.
I personally like the emails through Practice Score because Facebook for me there's too much shit on Facebook, and Facebook now does not show you the things you're interested in. Like, their algorithm's all jacked up. First of all, they hold down the reach of gun pages, and now they're holding down pages of holding down the reach of pages in general. So the odds that I'm going to see something from a page that I'm subscribed to are very, very low. But an email comes directly to my inbox, and it's on my computer. I check my email twice a day. That I think is the proper way to do it. And even if you put videos and pictures and stuff on Facebook, reference it in the email. I think that's the right way to do it.
Well, and also you can, it's like, when am I supposed to be at that shooters meeting again? You don't have to go searching for it.
Yeah.
There.
Yeah. If you've ever tried to find a post again that you saw one time,
Yes.
It's like nearly impossible.
Well, and people take them down and stuff too.
Yeah.
They realize they effed up and shouldn't never put that up there, but it was entertaining and I wanted to find it again. It bothers me I can't find it, but yeah, I agree with you about Facebook. I have a big problem with Facebook because I that's kind of how I put stuff out there related to shooting and that type of stuff, and it's kind of how our local folks really look at stuff. And then also it's how a lot of those match videos and those type of things are recognized. It's kind of like what folks expect to see after a match is basically Facebook videos, you know? And so, as somebody that like doing the team event, we want some of that. We want some exposure. We want golf cart videos. That's what we want. We want a lot of them. I want to for 4 days afterwards. And Bruce mentioned this after his match. He's like, any videos you guys post on Facebook, make sure you tag me because I get to relive the match for like another 10 days.
Yeah.
Type of thing.
And that's what I think is the right way to use Facebook as like an entertainment tool, right? To show this community and have fun, but passing along information, especially important information that you're going to be responsible for later, like a round count or when to be at a stage, I think that's email.
Oh, I think you're right. Yeah, I think absolutely you're right. At least to the shooters.
Yeah.
For your signed up shooters, if somebody is just curious and on Facebook goes, hey, what's the round count to this? And you're not even in the match.
Oh,
Why
yeah.
are you asking? This match is closed. Are you just curious? Anyway. So yeah, I agree. I think in Practice Score is a good mechanism for that because if you're registered, then they have your email, and then we send out updates.
Tell you what, man, I used Practice Score for the first time on the MD side when I did this intro class that I taught, and it is freaking useful to communicate with your people, and you can load all kinds of stuff into Practice Score to where people would never have to ask a question or anything.
Right.
But that email everyone has signed up is a very useful function of Practice Score.
Well, and if you're not using Practice Score now, and there are some matches that still don't, But if you're not, I mean, people kind of really expect it. And actually, people make this. I think some people make decisions about when you say scoring. The question about how is this match going to be scored used to be, is it points, is it time based, or whatever. But now some people are asking about, how is this going to be out there? How are you doing scoring? Are you using practice score?
Yeah.
Yes, we are. And people are like, oh, good, because everybody seems to like it. I mean, there's no naysayers when it comes to practice score.
It's difficult to cheat in practice score, and
I've not tried that.
Trust me, I've tried. No, I'm just kidding.
Have you? Okay.
But well, here's where I was going with that. I shot a match last year where you got your time written down on the stage by the RO plus your penalties, and then they gave that sheet to you, and there was only that one sheet, and you as the shooter were responsible for putting that in the ammo can, and then that ammo can was then emptied by the stats guy and put into a spreadsheet. And I don't know about you, Brian, but
that's not exactly high reliability, is it?
Well, and so I asked the question, what if you guys make a mistake? And he's like, we don't make mistakes.
Sure.
I was like, okay, buddy. And I worked in aerospace, and we used Excel for like a ton of stuff, and math problems were huge in practice, or excuse me, in Excel. So when you find like a math problem from some guy who's calculating like stress for something that's supposed to be holding up a spacecraft, you're telling me there's nothing in your score sheet, in your scoring Excel? There's no chance that there's a math problem in there. Okay, I'll guess I'll trust you.
Well, in the history of 3-gun and USPSA and shotgun matches and everything, there's been some pretty epic screw ups related to scoring.
Yeah.
And there's been some 6-hour waits for scoring, and there's been some people miss their flights waiting for that type of stuff. And then there's been, I can tell you there's been some people that won matches that didn't win them, that had to give their stuff back, and we're glad to do it because they didn't win. Most people are fairly gracious when they find out there was a scoring error. I didn't win. Okay, I'm going to give this back to so and so. But see, that's happened several times. It doesn't happen often, but it's happened enough that I've not seen it that I know of, and maybe other people have examples of it, but I've not really seen it in any matches scored by practice score. Yeah. And I think because it takes, the scoring is done right at that time and reviewed right at that time. The coolest I ever saw, I've not seen this since, and maybe you have because you get around that area of the country, but I shot a shotgun match in Georgia several years ago, and once that, they had Wi-Fi there on the range, and once you had reviewed your score right then on the iPad or whatever it was we were scoring with, I assume iPads, I went back, would be put my gun in my bag, and I would get a email from practice score on my phone in my pocket.
Oh yeah.
Tell me that was my time on that. I got immediate score email.
Yeah.
That's the only match I've ever had that did that because they had Wi-Fi there, I'm assuming, and had it set up to do that. But it was really neat.
And maybe that was like a test or something like that, because that doesn't even happen at SUPs right now. But in chatting with Ken on the podcast, I want to say it was last year at Hard as Hell. No, it was 2016 at Hard as Hell. And he said that their intent is to do that through a practice score app that you have on your phone. So instead of sending you an email, it just goes thunk, and it's a notification on your phone. And same thing, like it reports your scores real time like that. Like that's their ultimate goal. That's where they're driving to. Obviously, there's probably not low hanging fruit, but more important things to do other than that. But yeah, that's one of the features that they're going to be adding down the road. And yeah, if you're not on practice score, you have no excuse. It's free. iPads are cheap. Nooks are cheap.
Yeah, Nooks are what, $39, $49, yeah. Something like that.
Yeah.
They're not. And I do still see people taking pictures of the squad times and scores and so forth.
And I absolutely do that too. I don't really
see it come up as being arbitrated. Do you? I don't.
So I I
Nothing wrong.
always take a picture, or someone on my squad does, but I do that for like insurance, and I've never had to use it.
Right.
Yeah. In fact, last year at the Colorado 3-Gun Championship, there was someone who made an error on one of the iPads and wiped out my squad's entire scores. And I can't remember if it was on one stage or all stages, but we were on the RO squad. And one of the dudes that was running stats was able to go through all the practice score history data, whatever, because it logs everything, right? And he was able to recover all our stage times, and they had gotten wiped out. So it wasn't even a total loss, even though it appeared to be a total loss.
Oh. Well, when they used to do paper and give you the little, carbon copy or whatever, Brian and I, we used to just put Brian on there, and then we would always just turn in the best time on that. And then, I don't know how many matches he finished in the top 5 because half of his scores were mine, but it was a significant number. But that was early on, and we stopped doing that years ago. And yes, practice score has made it harder to do ththings like that.
Yeah. Well, I was saying about that match that I shot is I could have just followed Tim Yackley around all day long. Because they didn't even have like a RO initial, the paper, and they didn't keep, and the ROs didn't keep a copy. So I could have just followed Tim Yackley around, listened to what his time was, subtracted 1, and then put my shit in the ammo can and never shot the match and won it.
Right. And at 99.9% of Tim Yackley, or of Dave Hartman, is Tim Yackley.
Yeah, exactly. Which
ekes him out.
Everyone would totally believe that. Yeah. Hey, maybe I should just delete that part, and we never had this conversation. I'll go.
You might want to save that. You might want to save that for later in case you end up at that match again. Yeah. And they still have the ammo cans.
I don't think I'm welcome back. I don't think I'm welcome back to that match.
Well, that would just be a way to prove your point, and to actually get that guy that said he didn't make mistakes. It'd just be a way to stick it to him.
Yeah. So. Yeah. That's a good point. All right, Brian. So we talked about pre-communication. How was the staff at the match? Oh,
they're just great. They were tired from shooting the hard-ass division the night before, where they shot all 6 stages in one day and ended up shooting at night, basically under the headlights of trucks. But other than that, they're mostly local guys, but some guys from out of state, some guys from out west, and some guys from up in Pennsylvania. We had both the owners of Innovative Steel Targets and Gunfighter Targets there, and both of them were on the stages with their targets, or with some of their targets, and were working those stages. So they not only gave back by having targets there for us to use, but also worked the match.
Very cool.
And that's pretty cool. And so we had a lot of local guys that were able to come out Friday and shoot the hard-ass division, and then worked the next 2 days. And they really did some hoofing, but and they were really big on the on-deck shooter being there and being ready to go and that kind of stuff, but not, you never felt like you were pushed. They were polite. These are Kentucky boys that were happy to be there, and happy to see everybody from out of state. And I don't know, it was just kind of cool. A lot of them are out of, shoot at that local range or shoot out of Bluegrass Sportsman League in Lexington. So all of them are experienced 3-gunners. There was nobody there that just, this is their first time ROing or being at a big match like that. So they did a really good job of keeping everybody safe. Really good job of making sure everything was reset. I mean, I don't think on my squad shooting these big, huge stages, I can't think of maybe one target that I can remember where it wasn't reset for somebody. Nice. So they did a good job going behind everybody and making sure that everything was right. Because there was, one stage had several activating things that you had to pull. One was called Yank the Monkey, and he had a monkey hanging from a cord, like a stuffed monkey, obviously.
Right.
But you yanked that
Well,
stage was named Yank the Monkey, and you yanked this monkey, and it activated some stuff. So all that stuff had to be reset, and at least one RO, their whole job was just to make sure that not only that things were scored, but everything was reset, and we just didn't have much of an issue with reset. So it's pretty cool.
I like how you had to specify that the monkey was stuffed.
Yeah, well, you never know.
Well,
We don't have native monkeys around here that I know of. I've never seen one. I've spent a good deal of time in the woods of Kentucky as a boy. I grew up here. Never seen a monkey. But anyway, but Bruce's Yank the Monkey, I think that was just who knows how he came up with that.
He does run a pet shop.
Yeah. Yeah, he runs a pet shop. I don't think he has monkeys, but anyway.
But he knows a guy.
But he knows a guy. He can get you a monkey. If
Yeah.
you need a monkey, he can supply a monkey. If you want a live monkey, that's extra. It's hard to remember. I don't know how he runs a pet shop. I just don't see Bruce run a pet shop.
I don't either. I really don't. Like, he doesn't seem like the pet shop kind of guy to me. But talking to him, I got the opportunity to hang out with him quite a bit when we were doing the evaluation thing for Industry Choice Awards last year, and talking to him about like his general philosophies and stuff like that. It seems like he's a manager, and
yeah.
and like a people organizer. And when you listen to how he runs this match and how he runs his big event with his toy airplanes, that really shines through, right? So maybe it doesn't matter the commodity; it only matters the that he's managing people. Maybe that's his strong suit.
Right, and people that can do that, just some people say, is leadership learned, or is it something that you just have? And I don't think he learned it. I think he is.
Yeah.
But have you seen the match shirt for this match?
I have last year's, but I haven't seen this one yet.
Okay, so this year's is Bruce. He's on the front of the shirt. It's
nice.
His face with his hands out, his fists facing you, and it says on his knuckles, it's written rock hard on his knuckles. And he has these dark sunglasses on. It's a black shirt, as all match shirts tend to be for whatever reason. And he's got his fist out. It's very scary looking. And I mean, it just would scare small children and animals away. But I said, how am I supposed to wear that shirt?
Yeah, exactly.
What do you mean? You don't like it? I'm like, I guess I like it fine, but it is an intimidating freaking looking shirt.
Absolutely.
It doesn't look like a pet shop owner on the front of the shirt. If you told somebody, hey, who's that on your shirt? And you say, oh, it's this guy that owns a pet shop, they wouldn't believe it.
No, not at all. They would think it was the Dead Pet Shop like you were talking about.
Well, and I tell people at matches that I'm a nurse, and they can't believe that. They go, you're a nurse? I'm like, yeah. Why? Is there something wrong with that?
Yeah, I know. Like, I cracked up the first time you told me, and then the second time you told me, I was like, oh, he must be serious.
Yeah, I mean, next time you bust your head open like DJ Petro did one night, and then you give me guff about being a male nurse, I won't dress it for you like I did.
Well, I guess I've never actually seen you in action either, so.
Well, I mean, I do administrative work now, so I mean, you really don't want me taking care of you.
Right. But if there's paperwork to be done. Yeah,
if there's paperwork or joint commission shows up, I'm your man. But but people, there's a couple. I had 2 other male nurses on my squad this year too. So they were
cool.
and I didn't realize that's what they did for a living either. And I think maybe Blount is a nurse. I think he is. I think he's a nurse in the Army. So, look out. I guess I don't know. But
nice.
I'm sure I'm the senior one.
All right, so let's talk about the fun factor. This is the subjective part. So this is the Vaught factor in this match. What'd you think?
Well, for me, this type of for me, what I look at for whether I'm going to go to a match or not is the stages. Is just the stages. I don't ever really, I don't do great at matches all the time, and I do fairly well in irons, but I don't ever expect to walk the prize table at the beginning of it. So I'm really looking: is it worth my my time to travel to this match? Now, this one was basically local. But matches like this, Hard as Hell, Blue Ridge, the old Task Force Dagger match down in AIM and so forth, those are the kind of match really get me going. Where you look at a stage and you just wonder if you're even going to be able to do it, So it's not just about shooting, because most of us get to a point where the shooting is it's instinctive. We don't really think about it very much. So you have to throw in these other things, and it just adds the interest. I like the physical challenges. I like the different shooting positions, and this match just had all of it. It had a lot of shooting on the clock, a lot of running it out of different positions and in and out of vehicles and up ladders and that type of stuff. And so for me, this is the best kind of match. And then I like we talked about before, I like the kind of the squad involvement with the coaching and the ability to help if something really goes bad or whatever. And then I like it being only 2 days.
Yeah.
Because the 3-day ones, a 3-day match like this would be something else. It would be extremely taxing, and the third day would be rough on everybody. But I like that it's 2 days, and I really think that the participation factor for a 2-day match is something that appeals to people, because taking off, if you shoot a lot of 3-gun in this area, taking off in the middle of the week and that type of stuff, you can't do that
right
10 times a year. So that's kind of cool.
Yeah, I'm a fan of the 2-day matches too. I do like to sprinkle a couple 3-day matches in there throughout the year too, but if I pick, and I guess I'm like a special case, but now that I'm actually like planning to go travel 2 matches and then come home like normal people, instead of just like staying on the road, then 2-day matches are seeming more appealing. But that said, like for a good 3-day match, I will make the time.
Right. If it's 3 days, I mean, Hard as Hell is definitely worth flying out to Vegas for and driving up, even getting a rental car. And I mean, that for me is a 5-day trip, because I fly the day after. But I think that's really, really worth it. And there's people that came a long way to shoot this thing. And I think we were shooting, there's a guy named Ty, I can't remember his last name, young fella, hadn't shot a whole lot of 3-gun, that we met out at Hard as Hell. And I want to say he was from Colorado, maybe. But anyway, he came out to Rock Hard.
Finner, right?
Yeah, man, I think that was him.
Yeah, and, I shot with him 2 years ago at the Colorado 3-gun championship. Cool kid.
Well, and he shooting Hard as Hell, he was like, this is awesome. And we're like, well, there's one kind of like this back in Kentucky in March. And he was like, I'm signing up for it.
Nice.
And we were like, we'll see you there. And I was like, sure, whatever. Yeah, he was there.
Yeah, he's not a talker. He's a doer.
Yeah, good shooter.
I don't know.
For as much as he shot really well.
Yeah,
so.
I don't know him really well, but from the time that I've spent with him, I like him as a person. He's a good kid. All right, so Brian, next up here is a new one that we added, and this is kind of funny based on this match. This is what we call the match fee quotient. And we're also calling this the Bruce, just colloquially, because Bruce Davidson actually put this one out there on the podcast and suggested that we add it to the match Recon. All the people that support the show on Patreon agreed that this is a good piece of data, and we threw it in there. So this is the fee of the match, which is $200 divided by the number of stages, which is 6, and that equals $33. So at $33 per stage, Brian, how many of these stages would you shoot again?
I would pay $200 to shoot the whole match again.
Really? Every stage?
Let me think. Yeah, I mean, you almost have to see that as kind of a bargain. because we were talking about this earlier. I don't remember who did the math. I think it might have been Mark Tukasik did the math, but Tim Yackley, who won TAC Optics, shot for this match. It took him like 17 minutes on the clock to shoot 6 stages, and he won hard as hell last year, and he shot 17 minutes for 10 stages. So the amount of value for the rounds that you're going to put down range, as well as the time on the clock, it'd be pretty hard to beat. And really, I don't. I don't know that I want to do it the next weekend or start the next day, but you give me like 2 weeks to rest, and I would probably shoot that whole match again.
Nice.
Because you're not gonna. This is the problem that Brian and I had driving back from Rock Castle last year after Bruce's first Rock Hard. Is we're driving back, and we're like, what are we going to shoot for the next 10 months that's anything near as good as that? We just finished it, and we were like, that was really awesome. And I would say this year was better than last year. So, I would definitely shoot those again. But even if you didn't want to shoot them again, you'd have to say that the value for the $200 match fee with your meals paid for, and I imagine that eats up almost all of that match fee per shooter with only 130 some odd shooters, and some of them were probably comped that were ROs and that type of stuff. There were. I imagine most of that money went back into the match.
Yeah.
So probably pretty good value. The problem would be, how are you gonna scratch that itch after you've done that?
Yeah. It's like now you got to do more, right?
Yeah. Where do you go? I've got Rock Castle an hour from me, but I feel bad for some of those people. Where are you going to go to climb over 4 cars and shoot off the hood of each one of them with your rifle?
Yeah.
Who's going to let you do that?
Remind me to tell you a good allegory after the podcast about this one. I can't say.
Okay.
While it's
Where else is
recorded.
a good idea?
All right. So funny things that happened at the match.
All right. Well, I had to jog my memory here because it's not as good as it used to be. But there were lots of good fall videos, and people fell a lot last year. There was a really good pick last year of some guys' shell caddies smashed into the ground it was like a quad loading something other TACOM thing that had just shattered all over the place with all the shotgun shells laying in the mix. But there was a lot of good falls on the cars, and then just basically the open terrain going through the thickets and those type of things. Those were pretty cool. Lots of running guns out to people whose guns had crapped on them, and the pandemonium that goes along with that, which is also funny because seeing somebody in, I don't know, suffer or whatever, we all kind of think it's funny afterwards. I don't know why.
Yeah, but, it's really fun to watch people suffer when there's no consequences other than a score,
Well, and when you just shot the stage and did pretty well, and then somebody else is having to yell for a gun, it's just kind of amusing. I don't know why, but that was fun, and that adds a little something to it. And then I'm pretty sure, and most of our squad would attest to this, that one of our shooters shot a clay out of the air with a slug.
Really?
Yeah. What had happened was the loadout was specified for your shotgun. So you started in a box saluting the flag because there was a flagpole there and everything. And you flipped a tire, and then you ran up and you grabbed your shotgun off the table. And the loadout was 2 bird, 2 slug, 2 buck, and a bird. 7 rounds in the gun. So you made the gun was chamber empty. You racked in a bird. You shot a knockover bird target with your bird shot, and then you shot 2 poppers that activated flippers with buck. And then you shot 2 slug gongs while your flippers were tossing your bird into the air. And then you shot your last 2 bird at those as they fell. Okay? So this happened very quickly.
So
Okay,
it was buck, buck, slug, slug, bird, bird.
Well, this is the way it kind of went like this. Bird, buck, buck, slug, slug, bird, bird. Like that.
Okay. I got you.
That's not how fast you had to do it. So, one of the guys on our squad, Andy, he had a jam and he had to rack a round out, and he shot the buck, and then the bird got in the air, and then he shot a slug, and then he shot a bird, and then anyway, we're pretty sure after watching it that he shot one of the birds out of the air with a slug. So, because he still had his 2 birds in his gun when he got done, because he kind of got out of sequence there. And you were shooting down Thunder Valley, like all of Thunder Valley was in that direction. So you're talking about, I don't know, what, a mile in that direction with nothing. So it was fine. But that was pretty cool. I mean, I don't think you could do that again. But
okay. So what is the run out of a slug?
I mean, this thing was falling too. It wasn't like it was at its apex or anything.
Oh, okay.
It's falling out of the air. So he got the hit. I mean, it's not a penalty. You can't really prove that he did it. So,
well, that's pretty cool and not too bad with the what's it called? With the run out of Thunder Valley there.
Well, and Bruce really put a lot of thought into how he was going to have he wanted to force people to shoot 2 slug targets before they engaged these clays that were already in the air. And we had one guy in our squad that got the whole thing. And then I missed 1 bird, and I think pretty much everybody else on our squad missed at least 1 bird. But anyway, it was interesting. Then you shot your shotgun for like 30 more rounds or something at bird target. But,
right. Well, so it sounds like a difficult engagement.
Oh yeah, it was. Well, and that's one of those things. You show up, when we were talking about this earlier, the fun factor, you show up and you just look and say, I wonder if I can do that. I guess we'll find out in a minute, because you don't know if you're going to be able to do it or not do it. I've never tried that before. I don't practice that. Don't know anybody that does practice that. And one of the things it really tests is your gun's reliability with 3 different loads.
Yeah.
So you're going to shoot a 2 buck, 2 slug, and 3 bird all in one loadout. You better hope everything works like it. You don't even have time to, bump your bolt or anything if it hangs up, because those birds are going to be on the ground by then.
Huh.
It's kind of neat.
Yeah, sounds like a fun little array.
I mean, the smart play was just to make sure you got the slug targets, and then if you don't get the birds, no big deal. But make sure you get the hits on the slug target.
Nice. All right, so you got one more note of a funny thing that happened at the match here.
Well, all the meals were provided, so a lot of people were eating at the lodge, and then the second night was like Italian night, and they had really good chicken Alfredo and spaghetti and that kind of stuff, and garlic bread. I love that kind of thing. Plus, you're starving at this point anyway, and they had these decorative bottles on the tables with, I guess they were supposed to have flowers in them. They're like wine bottles.
Yeah.
And apparently the sand in them looked enough like pepper that at least 2 people, Bruce being one of them, who'd been there all week, seasoned their Alfredo or whatever. Michael Boone was the other one.
Oh, nice.
with their sand.
Nice.
And so they couldn't figure out what was the matter with the sauce at first and that type of stuff. But anyway, I found that was it's kind of like one of those you had to be there thing. But to see Michael Boone try to get sand out of his mouth that he just ingested with his spaghetti sauce is kind of funny. And if you know Michael Boone,
yeah,
basically the thing the guy does is funny.
Yeah, he's a riot.
All right. So anyway, that's another thing that happened. But there was a whole lot of of goofing off, and a whole lot of, after the shooting was done, the last round was fired, all the guns were put up. There was a whole lot of hanging out in the bar, and having a few beers, or maybe a few more than a few. But that's part of it.
Yeah,
It
absolutely.
reminds me of being back at the old, it took me back a few years, because some matches, it seems like everybody just scatters, because they want to do well tomorrow. I got to go get in bed. I want to eat something because I shot 4 good stages today and I want to do good tomorrow. And then this crew was like, those 3 stages I shot today were really hard and they sucked, and I'm really sore, so I'm going to drink 8 beers and go to bed or maybe I'm going to drink half a case of beer and go to bed at 3 o'clock in the morning. That is just a different way of looking at how you're going to prepare for the next day. And it's kind of more of that crew was at this one. So, but some people did leave, but I'd say the majority of the people, if you'd have gone down into the bar at 2 o'clock in the morning on Saturday night, I would say 50 people probably would still been down there. So,
Man, that's a lot.
Yep. Yeah. It was pretty loose.
Good.
I liked it. It was fun.
Good. So it sounds like you really enjoyed the match.
Yeah. And the thing is, Bruce makes a big deal. The Mission 22 guys were there. There were some guys that are sponsored shooters by Mission 22, and some of them are ex-active duty, and some of them are current active duty, and they're a great group of guys. I mean, they're just hilarious to be around, and they sold shirts there, and they worked the stages. Some of them worked the stages with the other ROs, so they participated. And I want to say last year Bruce raised like maybe $3,000 for the match, and this year, or for the Mission 22, and this year he raised, I think his official number was $11,805.
That's incredible.
Now this is 137 people.
Yeah.
And the only funding that the money that he got was from the side matches, whatever he had left of his match entry fee. I think he donates I think at one point there was a match director fee that he was going to get paid or something for putting this match on at Rock Castle. I think he donates that back into to that. He basically gives everything that this match takes into Mission 22.
Yeah.
And
that's a huge
cool
thing for a small organization like that too.
Oh yeah. And I mean, we didn't know the official number when everybody left. But, there's a lot of people that did not go home with any folded money from that match because they just gave it over. And a lot of them know there's no way they're going to win the shotgun side match, but shot it 10 times anyway and paid $10 every time they basically, Bruce tells you your match fee's paid for. Your meals are all provided. So I don't expect you to go home with any cash.
I like it.
I need you to give it to me. Give it up. It's not required, but give it up. And I mean, that's really kind of the spirit of things. And so people do. I mean, there's people that put $50 in the can to shoot the shotgun side match one time. That have no chance of winning the thing.
That's cool. I love the culture too. The giving culture that he's brought to it.
Yeah. And then that makes you feel good too. If you don't do as well at the match, at least you participate in a charitable event.
Yeah, no kidding.
Yeah.
Well, Brian, it sounds like a great match, dude. Like a ton of fun, a ton of shooting on the clock, and you get 5 whole minutes to shoot it if you suck, which is a good thing for guys like me.
Well, if next year, if folks out there want to shoot this match, he's going to open it up again next year. I think he's going to do it about the same time next year in early March.
Mm-hmm.
And if you're looking to knock the cobwebs off, you don't feel like practicing, this is a good one to take care of that for you, because it will do it. Because I didn't practice at all for this, and it was the first 2 stages were rough.
Yeah, but now you've got thousands of rounds under the belt from all that shooting.
Oh, I made up for it in the first day. No problem.
Well, right on, man. Well, I appreciate you taking the time to put together the match Recon for this this match, and for taking the time to come on the podcast and tell me about it.
Well, thanks for hearing about it, and I think that Bruce is, if he escalates this anymore next year
Mm-hmm.
than he did for the second year, I don't know that I'll be alive to do another podcast.
Well, I tell you what, one of the things I would suggest to Bruce is let's combine these two events that he runs. He's got this toy airplane event, he's got this shooting event. Let's combine the two. Let's see if we can have like a battle royale amongst the shooters and the pilots. Got to shoot those things down, baby.
Well, I wouldn't give him any ideas.
Oh, it's out there. It's out there.
Great. Well, and this match is part of a I guess a series now.
Yeah.
Which is hard as hell. Sky was there, Brian Nelson was there. So there's a Texas one, a Utah one, a Kentucky one, and there's a trophy that Jason from Innovative Targets made that's like this huge 70-pound piece of iron that is actually got a clay holder in the top of it. And we shot that. Every shooter shot a clay out of that clay holder at that match on one of the stages.
On the stage. Yeah.
On the stage. And it has cut out of Texas, Utah, and Kentucky as part of the trophy. You got to look at it. It's online. It's crazy. I don't know how you're going to fly out to Utah with that.
Yeah. Oh, that's one thing I was going to say is, weren't you saying that thing weighs like 70 pounds or something?
It's 70 pounds. It's like, I don't know, 4 foot tall.
Whoever made that target, Bruce, was not really thinking this one through, because shipping on that is going to be an MFer, and you're not going to be able to fly with it. Like, you're only going to be able to drive with that thing to the next match.
I think he's driving to Texas, and then maybe he'll leave it there, and Sky will drive up to Utah with it.
Ah, there you go.
I guess there's logistics. We didn't cover that in logistics. Trophy transportation should have been
exactly. Well, so we should mention. So Sky Killian, match director of the 3-gun at ETTS shooting range, and I believe that's just north of Dallas. I believe.
Yeah, and there's still slots available for that.
Yeah. So they're going to be doing a Hard as Hell Texas, and in conjunction with the Rock Hard and Hard as Hell, that's the traditional one in Utah, which is kind of a cool thing to be able to have like this series. There is going to be a series winner, from my understanding, and all that thing. But I guess you got to be one of the 137 people that shot the Rock Hard to be the series winner. But pretty cool thing.
Yeah.
What was that, Brian?
I said I'm assuming that you do, and I know one guy that's probably going to shoot all 3. So
yeah, Tim Yackley.
Yeah, probably.
Yeah, Brian Nelson probably shoot all 3 of those too. So those are a couple of contenders there.
Yeah, but the one in Texas you ought to look into. That's fairly close to you. It's I think it's September, and then of course Hard as Hell's in December.
Yeah,
Hard as Hell's a great one to finish the year with.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just a blast.
I shot Red October Kalashnikov Festival Championship. That's what it's called.
Oh, I'd love to do that.
Dude, that was a kick in the pants, and it was very Hard as Hell like. And they obviously used the same facilities, same stage designers and stuff. That was a kick in the pants, and I got to shoot someone else's rifle, which was fun. I got to shoot Tim Yackley's ammo, which was even funner. And so yeah, that was a ton of fun. But then after that, I was like, well, I made my TPC, my subs trip for the year, so I don't want to go out west. And watching the videos that you and Brian Ray and Josh Tarrant and all our other shooting friends put up about of the Hard as Hell match, it's like, well, I definitely made a mistake. I should have went out and shot that.
Well, years ago, I shot the second Task Force Dagger match down in Blakely, Georgia, and Brian didn't go. And I shot that. I mean, you talk about a bay stage, and if your bays are 200 yards deep, and it's not really a bay match,
Right.
So I'm leaving that, and I'm calling Brian. He's like, "So how was it?" I'm like, "I'd love to tell you that it sucked, but it was awesome," And he's like, "Shit," So the next year we both went to it. That was the year of the monsoon. That was the most epic match I ever shot was the match of the monsoon at Taskforce Dagger. So, but anyway, yeah, those type of things, you have to pay attention and know what's out there and what's good and where they're doing new things and that type of stuff. And of course, Hard as Hell's not new, but this one this is on its second year, and it looks like that this trend's going to continue, that this is going to be one of those that if you like this type of thing, then it might be a must do.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. If this is your thing, this kind of crazy shit is your thing, then this one is very likely a must do for you. Don't be left out.
Well, right on. Well, Vaught, thank you very much for being a part of this, man. I always appreciate when you're on the show. It's always a great time. And thanks for the 2 hours you gave me here.
Was it 2 hours?
Yeah.
No. I'll never get that back.
And for all the patrons listening, we appreciate you. We appreciate your contribution to the show. We're sitting in an office. I'm sitting in an office here that is paid for by you and your contributions, and it's always appreciated and never goes unnoticed. So thank you for being a part of the show. And if you're not a patron, sign up at patreon.com/3gunshow. That's Patreon. And Brian, shoot straight, man. I'll see you on the range.
All right. Thanks, Dave.
Hey, before you take off, if you're into this type of content, check out patreon.com/3gunshow. That's Patreon. There you will find bonus podcasts, all kinds of other different benefits of being a supporter of the 3 Gun Show. And you can support yourself for as little as $5 per month. That's patreon.com/3gunshow. Quick reminder that if you enjoyed this episode of the podcast, subscribe in iTunes, Google Play, Podcast Addict, or wherever you get your podcast content, so you will always get the very latest. Thank you so much for downloading, listening, and subscribing to the show. I'm Dave Hartman, and I'll see you on the range.
If you are finished, unload, show clear.